in trying to do some of the things. I know your style, Ms. LeGrone, and I will share that with those of you who may not know. But of course, that Ms. LeGrone's one of these persons that tries to do as much of everything, and if you ask her to do something, she wants to do it, and she wants to do it well. And so she had a call from a family. And now you take
Fort Worth.
In Fort Worth, you take it there from there.
Well, these really were professional searchers searching for somebody else. You know, we have them too.
Oh, okay.
And these people were tracing a line for a family, and they wanted me to trace the Waltons in this county.
Now we have a Walton cemetery
out west of town.
Okay.
All right, and we have an old Walton settlement on the east side of the county.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
I started on the east side of the county.
So you had the first name. It was.
Both names, George Walton. Okay.
George Walton. Well, that was simple, Ms. LeGrone.
Simple.
How come you didn't have sense enough to figure that out?
Well, the thing about it, I didn't know there were two George Waltons. And so I went to work on it. I knew about the old Walton Field. It was still called Old Walton Field. It's over there past Deadwood, a big land grant that was to George Walton.
Of course, that was in your section of the county.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. I had heard it called the old road going through the Walton Field.
That was the first Walton that came to your mind.
And I also had observed that that George Walton was the first probate judge of this county.
Interesting.
When the county was formed in 1846, he was the probate judge. Okay, that first term at Pulaski. And I had gone through the records, of probate for that time and had found his work. So I went to work on George Walton. I really had a pretty good time. I tracked his family through the census records, and he had a son named Killis.
Now, am I correct, Ms. LeGrone, that you look at something and you read it and you extract from that, and then you move over to another document or another book or something like that?
You look for the census records to see what the census says. It says who they were and where they were from, where they were born, and it tells then where the children were born. And starting in 1850, and that's the first census that lists the children.
Now, the information that you have doesn't take, say, a person like, say, George Walton or whoever, and then you just go to one piece of material,
oh my goodness, no.
and you find all of that.
No. I find a little bit of him here, and I go to another document and find a little bit more.
Bits and pieces,
put it
here,
together,
there, and yonder.
Right.
All right. Now,
and I looked through the deeds. The land deeds. See, that gets the will.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's no simple task.
Oh my, hours are involved in it. The cemetery records, where they're buried, if they're markers. The birth records will be on the census, you see, and marriage records. I go through all of those marriage records to see who married whom and so on. And all of this, I just had fun doing and did a good-sized packet.
And I don't want to get ahead of you, but you built up your packet and you did a good job on it. And felt real proud of your work.
Felt real good about sending it to the lady that was requesting this because it was holding up her research till she got this information. Okay, I found that this George Walton, as I said, was probate judge. Then 2 years after he was served as probate judge, he became county judge, or chief justice it was called then, after the seat came to Carthage.
Now this is in the 1800s?
That's in the 1800s, right, the 1850s.
Right.
Okay. He had a son named Killis. I traced the marriage of Killis and his wife and their children. I even tracked down their children. They were given on deed records and so on. I found all of them. All right. I found where this George Walton died, and I haven't found his grave, but evidently it doesn't have a marker. And I got all this together and sent it.
Put it in an envelope.
Oh, big packet.
When you send that out, don't you mostly have this handwritten? Don't you use mostly handwritten documents when you the work that you do.
I look up the original deeds.
Yeah,
Here they are written in their hand.
Oh, you make copies of that?
Make copies of their handwriting. Yes.
And then send that to them
yes,
along with your own.
Along with my figuring it out. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And yours is handwritten.
Yes.
Okay.
Mine's handwritten.
Okay.
Okay. All that.
I want to kind of get that across
because
I knew that you weren't. You weren't. I think I'm using the wrong word, but you're not a fluent typer.
Oh no, I'm certainly not.
All right, that's what I was getting across.
Okay, this I sent to them. Wrong, George Walton.
They got it, looked it up, and said, "Gee whiz, this is the wrong guy."
But this is not the George Walton we want. Well, I went back to the records, and the George Walton they wanted was the one in the old Macedonia area out here.
In the other part of the county.
On the other side of the county, yes. And the strange thing was, he had a son named Gillis also.
Oh, you don't mean it. You don't mean
it. This is the odd thing about it.
Well, now, were those two guys in any way related?
As far as I know, no relation. I never found any relation between them. But this George Walton's sons married into the Reverend Isaac Reed's family. So they also wanted me to go into the Isaac Reed papers.
Well, is that kind of the Audie Reed or whatever that is?
Yes. Isaac Reed was the daddy of the Clayton bunch of Reeds. The Reed settlement was one of the first ones in the county.
All right. A lot of those folks still out in that part of the
But Isaac Reed had a large family, and he established the settlement out there just past Clayton.
Okay.
It's the old Reed settlement.
Right.
And his grave is out there and has a state marker by his grave and so on.
Now remember, folks, we're talking about some of your kinfolks this morning.
Yes, there are many people that are tied in with these, and that's the reason I wanted to talk about this, because if they get into the research, they're going to find this too.
After you ran down the Walton and got into that, then you
I had to go into the Reeds.
The Reeds. Well, did you send them the packet on what you
found
on the other Walton?
Yeah, the other Walton.
But then they came back and said, we want to find out something about the Reeds too.
Yes, so-and-so married one of the Reeds, and a granddaughter of Isaac, and a daughter of Isaac, and so on. So I had to do all that. But this Walton out there had some interesting documents, so I spent a good bit of time on that. And I found his will.
Oh, a copy of that?
A copy of the will. I have it right here. And
was in the county records?
Oh, yes. This is in the probate records of the county. If you have time to search.
How much money did he leave?
Well, he just was to leave his property to his wife as long as she lived.
Of course, in that day and time, a couple of $100 was a bushel of money.
A whole lot of money. Yeah. He had a lot of land. That was what he had, and it was not valued very highly.
As a matter of fact, in those days, a lot of land was
This became interesting. This was in 1857 when he made his will. 2 years later, the wife had a petition against her own son because he had taken over. He was administrator, and instead of leaving it all to her to take care of and to support her in her lifetime, he just took it over. And so she had to petition for her part, and she had to prove by documents. So you see,
even in the olden days, folks had that nasty kind of stuff,
between mother and son. And
time hasn't changed.
No, it really hasn't. But the record's there.
Uh-huh.
It's just a matter of taking the time to search it. But imagine what a wealth of information I ran into on two separate families. And I had I had known, of course, Walton Cemetery out here.
And that's the one on the west side?
That's the one on the west side, named for these Waltons. But I haven't found, they're not buried in Walton Cemetery. Evidently, they're buried in some of the cemeteries around without markers now. Those early gravestones didn't last.
I think at the very top of our program, I failed to kind of mention the title of our program, which you can probably, today from Ms. LeGrone, it's Puzzles. So there are a lot of puzzles.
Walton puzzles.
There are a lot of puzzles that come up in trying to put some of this information together and abide by the requests of the people who send in for information. But our material is there, and it takes someone. Someone to dig it out.
And it takes somebody to dig it out. And I have as I have told you, I have a modest charge that I make for this kind of research because I have to leave something else off.
I think that's very good to mention on the air because this cannot possibly be done without some sort of remuneration, and of course there's expense attached to it.
Right.
And so
I had a man at the library this week, the man from Arizona, says, I've got to come out on my research because I put about $20,000 worth of travel and search in it. I says, oh, I know about that,
yeah,
you know.
Of course, it makes your $40 or $50 or $60 look mighty small.
Oh, yes,
and at a very
and even so,
minimum
people usually
a lot of times they don't
get it in
respond.
hand, and that's all they want. You don't hear from them anymore.
That's kind of a dirty trick.
But
those are the
that's
same,
all right.
Those are the same people that don't help provide the funds to keep the cemetery either,
True.
don't they?
That is very true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Part of the family
Yes.
that don't.
And then they call and wonder why we let an old cemetery grow up. You know, people come in and call and say, did you know that such and such a cemetery is just grown up?
Well, isn't that terrible?
I said, yes, and I'm sorry. Why don't you do something about it? I said, what? Well, that's against the law. I said, well, prove it and go do something about it.
Yeah. It reminds me of a statement that I made when I was helping Rusty last week on the air, and some people who might be listening will remember. I saw a safe, and we've got to hurry on because they've got the news coming up. How are we doing? But anyway, I heard a safety sign, a safety message on the radio, which said, "Lights and signs don't stop cars. People do." And it's true, you see.
Yes,
and it made me think, good things don't just happen, good people make good things happen. So those cemeteries don't get fixed and kept up unless somebody actually does it.
And if your people are buried there and you live somewhere else, you still have a responsibility to help them.
And you have no gripe if you don't send some bucks
That
back.
is true. That is true.
Whether that cemetery is here in Panola County or whether it's in Timbuktu.
We have had Boy Scouts, and we have had the technical club at the high school helping with a lot of them.
Yeah.
But they can't do them all.
No, that's not. Well, we got off the subject, didn't we?
Okay, I wanted to brag on Sarah, the wife of this Walton at the West.
Oh, all right.
That was a pretty early day for a woman to petition against her own children, you know.
Indeed it would be, yes.
And she pled to the county judge, who was Henderson Fike at the time.
Okay.
And she pled that she and her husband came to Panola County and got the land together, got the land grant together.
Uh-huh.
And it was community property. And now this son was handling as if it all belonged to the father.
And pretty much he was excluding her, no doubt.
Yes, he was leaving her out totally. And he was dividing the funds. The father had made his will that when the mother died, this son, and this is strange, but it happened all the time, would get half of the property, and the other half would be distributed among the other children. And he was going ahead with that and leaving the mother out. She was evidently, she didn't say this, but she was evidently just living pillar to post with the kids.
Did the records show the outcome?
They did not. I didn't find the records showing the outcome, but I have an idea that they put a check mark on him and stopped him from going ahead with it. All she asked was that that her half of it be channeled her way.
I agree with you in your statement that this was a very, very aggressive and an extremely bold step for any woman.
Right.
In that
in
day
the
and
18 and 50s,
yes,
and that's when it was. And this was interesting to me because I'm interested in when women took a stand, you know, and when they just let the world walk over them. And they've been walked on a good bit through the years.
Now you guys know, I tease you girls about that.
Well, we all know it's so, it has happened. But anyway, I was proud of this lady.
Yes, yes.
Because she stood up for her rights, even with her own kids.
So there's a lesson to our little puzzle this morning, isn't there?
You bet. that these things that we have, if they were handled fairly, it had to be from both sides of the house.
Right. Well, let's see. Have we about covered that?
Well,
we're about out of time.
we could
this
tell
morning.
much more, but we're out of time.
Well, there's
yes.
one